What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Chicago Bulls weekly episode for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, there's not been injury news in terms of the Chicago Bulls, at least at this point in time, that I get to discuss, so we can finally get into some normal content, or relatively normal, I should say, content for this channel. And that's a Chicago Bulls weekly, where we look at the previous week for the Chicago Bulls, talk about the ups and the downs, and also talk about the upcoming week for the Chicago Bulls, and whether or not we will end up seeing some postponed games for the team. There is a little bit of news I do want to talk about as well from KC Johnson, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls week previously, and of course their upcoming week to come. Let's talk about the previous week first, ladies and gentlemen. We had 3 games to look forward to this week, and we ended up going 1-2. Now, considering our roster depletion for the Chicago Bulls, I would say going 1-2 is not too bad at all. But obviously, as I say every week, if we can end up going positive through that week every single week, we're going to be just fine in terms of the regular season. That's 2 weeks now, I believe, out of every week that we've had where the Chicago Bulls have not gone positive. And in the end, this is definitely the week where I could say there's not really much else to do about the Chicago Bulls. I can't expect the world from them. I can't expect resiliency to the point that we did when so many of our players were out for the team. We do see some players that are struggling, obviously, and that's going to be a big indication of what we're going to talk about in the rewards section. But it's a big blow for the Chicago Bulls. Every single one of these games, we had to start a different lineup. Every single one of the games, we had new players come in. Every single one of these games, we saw another player enter health and safety protocols. It's just the way that it is. No one likes to talk about it. No one wants to talk about it. But that's just how it felt like, and that's why I'm not too upset with the Chicago Bulls previous week. The first game against Denver was a miraculous win for the Chicago Bulls, where we went 109-97. Denver's team is obviously just as banged up as ours at that time, but it's a great win for the Chicago Bulls, beating Denver twice in the regular season. They're a strong team, and with all their players back, they are one of the best teams in the Western Conference. So beating them twice in the regular season, taking advantage of what's put in front of you, is a big accomplishment for the Chicago Bulls. But again, both teams were banged up, and both teams stepped up and delivered. I'm really proud of this win. I was proud of their win against them when we were out west, and I'm proud of the win tonight, or in that game, I should say. The next game was against Cleveland Cavaliers. We blew this game big time, 115-92. Lack of effort, big size, and of course a depleted roster ended up taking the Cleveland Cavaliers to a massive victory. Again, at this time, I don't think anyone was talking about postponing games. This game against the Denver Nuggets and this game against the Cavs, I don't recall many people saying that these games should be postponed. It was all like that Miami Heat game, in my opinion, but this was definitely a bad game for the Chicago Bulls. Lack of energy again. I think we gave up in the second half as well, and they took advantage of what was put in front of them. Their size was massive, and they used their size to their advantage. Vooch had a bad game in this one, and I don't think Levine particularly played well either in this one, and therefore we lost a big game. Moving into this Miami Heat game, which should not have been played, but nevertheless, it is a game that we did play, and we lost 118-92. It's a very similar situation to the Cavs game. The difference is the size wasn't the biggest issue, in my opinion, for the team. It was the fact that Miami Heat made the easiest of plays to get really easy shots for their team, and our shots became extremely difficult. By halftime, we couldn't keep up because the difficulty of our shots was so big compared to Miami Heat's easier shots. Of course, they made some ridiculous ones as well, as Miami Heat have been doing for the Bucks. That previous game, they made 22 threes, and this game against the Bulls, they've made some ridiculous shots, but the majority of their shots were really easy for them, and that's how they ended up getting a blowout win over the Chicago Bulls. Looking at the rewards section, ladies and gentlemen, 3 awards that we give out for the Chicago Bulls. The first one being the must improve of the week, the player that had a terrible week and needs to improve in the next one. 6th man of the week, which will be very difficult to decipher, but is the best bench player, and player of the week for the Chicago Bulls, where we'll just have to say the best player in a very poor situation, I guess you could say. The must improve is the easiest of the bunch. It's going to be Nikola Vucevic. Very, very easy decision here. There's not too much to go into. I thought he's great. He was great against the Denver Nuggets, but he was awful against the Cavs. He was really poor against the Cavs, and he was just as bad against the Miami Heat. And again, it's a struggling tone, and I've been put in the conversation with other people that maybe Vooch should be benched on the team. I don't think they're going to do it, but it's a conversation that I think teammates maybe. I wouldn't, maybe not teammates, but it's a conversation that I think fans all across the world, and Chicago Bulls fans specifically, are ready to have that discussion. That's what I truly think at the end of the day. And I don't know if it's the right answer or not, but I personally think it's worth a try. If we can't get his confidence in the starting lineup, maybe he can verse backup centers on a regular basis and do his damage there, and that gets his confidence going into future games where he could potentially be a starter. The sixth man of the week is a very tough one, but I've decided to give it to Troy Brown Jr. Again, he was the best out of a bunch that wasn't really great. I thought our bench was very poor during this time, and obviously the depth of the team is in health and safety protocol, so it makes a lot of sense that our bench didn't step up the way that we expected them to. Some of the players on the starting lineup as well, but I thought Troy Brown Jr. was the best bench player. I believe he only played one game off of the bench as well, so it's not saying too much at all. But at the end of the day, you've got to pick yourselves up, dust yourselves off, and move on to the next one. Maybe he did play 2 games. I'm starting to think about it. Maybe he did have 2 games off the bench. I'm not sure, but he is the best bench player of the week. And the player of the week is going to be a very close one between the big ball Lonzo Ball and Zach LaVine. Looking at the games, it's a very tough one because the Denver Nuggets game, I thought they both were equally superb. I thought against Cleveland, Lonzo was the better player, and I thought against Miami, Zach LaVine was the better player. So in hindsight, I think I'm going to give it to Lonzo Ball because I think Lonzo Ball dictates a lot of the way that we play. The only issue I have with Lonzo Ball is I do feel we could see a little bit more aggression out of him. And again, players are not finishing off his plays, which means his stats could definitely go up another level if players finished what he provides for them. But I want to see that aggression more. I do feel like he's reluctant to drive as much. He had one great drive over Kyle Lowry. The next one he got blocked, and then I don't see him in the paint anymore at all. He has the size advantage. He has the ability to dribble past defenders. He is a great, quick, very good athlete. And I'd like to see him drive to the paint a little bit more. Maybe create something from there. Maybe collapse the defense and dish it out for a 3-pointer. Things like this, I think we need to see a lot more from Lonzo Ball. But he's my player of the week personally. I think Zach LaVine took a lot of shots because he had to, but I don't think he impacted the game as much as Lonzo Ball. The Bulls' record, I believe, is 17-10. We still sit very comfortable in the Eastern Conference. We're not shying away from the games that we play. We sit 3rd in the Eastern Conference. The Bucks did end up catching up to us. Miami's hot on our tails. And we do have a couple of days off until our next game. So definitely the seedings is something that we need to keep an eye on. But it's definitely not a guarantee that we'll remain in the top 4. However, I'm really positive about where our standing is right now. But again, this week is going to be very, very hard. Again, health and safety protocols, 9 players in health and safety protocols, 1 player expected to return against Detroit, 1 player expected to return against the Raptors, and maybe a bunch more against the Lakers. Again, the Chicago Bulls, the news that I was going to talk about is that the Chicago Bulls, I believe, asked the NBA to postpone this game against the Detroit Pistons. Not the game against the Raptors, not the game against the Lakers. No. The game against Detroit. That was the game that they want to postpone. They only wanted 1 game postponed, and the NBA, I believe, has ignored their request so far. Maybe they're waiting till at a little later time of that day, on the day, to see if it's worth postponing or not. But nevertheless, right now, the NBA has not responded to that. So in my opinion, I don't believe we will see this game postponed, no matter how much I believe it should be postponed. I think the NBA has not done enough, and I think they have to take responsibility from that. And the backlash they're getting from Bulls fans is very well warranted. They need to do a lot more, and it looks like they're not going to. So the first game will be against the Detroit Pistons. We only have 2 games to look forward to this week. Thank goodness it's a light week for the Chicago Bulls in terms of games, and I'm very excited about that, and hopefully we get to see players return after this Detroit game. The next one is going to be at Toronto away from home, a tough scheduled game there. And it's the one that I'm very, very concerned about from the week. That's the last game we have this week. I'm looking forward to it, but at the end of the day, I think we can all see these are going to be 2 really tough games when we don't have the players there to represent us. If we get 1 win this week, I'll be absolutely ecstatic. I'll be so happy if the Chicago Bulls can win one of these 2 games. If we win both, I guess luck is on our side, ladies and gentlemen. But if we can win one of these games, I'll be truly, truly proud of this team. And I'll be very, very happy for the future of the team. And I can't wait to see if we can get the job done or not. At the end of the day, I don't want to watch these games, but this is what has been put in front of me, ladies and gentlemen. We've got games to play where I don't believe we should be playing, and either we watch it or we don't, but at the end of the day, it's going to happen. So we're going to watch the team, going to support the team through its ups and its downs. Again, if you don't like us when we lose, don't support us when we win. That's always been my motto. Last season for the Chicago Bulls, we lost a lot of games, but a lot of you guys in the comments stuck through with this team, and that's why when we do begin to win, I always look for those comments of those people in the past, that year that we lost a lot of those games, because a lot of you guys are still here, and a lot of you guys are supporting this team. So we're going through a down period right now. We're going through a bad stretch of games. We're going through a situation where I don't believe we should be going through, but when we start winning more games again, when we get our team healthy again, when we go on a good run in terms of wins for the Chicago Bulls through the All-Star break, after the All-Star break, into the playoffs, everyone's going to be very supportive, and that's what I love about this team. I love the fan base, and although we're not getting what we want right now, I do believe that we have a strong fan base that does like to speak its mind, and that's all I can ask for, especially when you make YouTube videos about the Chicago Bulls. That's the end of the video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care.